Identity Information Confirmation Bill. Interrupted debate on first reading.
Members, when we were last on the first reading of the Identity Information Confirmation Bill, Ross Robertson was speaking and has 4 minutes remaining to speak if he wishes.
Thank you,
Ross Robertson.
Speaker. Tēnā koe mātua Lindsay Tish, and thank you, Mr Speaker, for the call, because only last week on Thursday evening, prior to the House rising at 6 o'clock, I was addressing this very important issue, Mr Speaker, about the identity fraud. It's an important issue, one that has taken the time of this House, Mr Speaker, and now I have the opportunity to complete my address. Absolutely. And, Mr Speaker, what we've got to do is this whole issue of the Identity Confirmation Information Bill is one that needs to go through this House and off to a select committee. It's a bill, Mr Speaker, that provides great assistance to those companies needing to comply with the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering Financing of Terrorism Act 2009. Mr Speaker, in supporting this legislation, one has to be mindful, ever mindful, sir, about the issue of privacy. And we on this side of the House are really concerned about issues relating to privacy. My colleague Dr Ashraf Chowdhury agrees wholeheartedly with that, because we have the Big Brother syndrome out there, we have the excessive powers of the state, and we have the state-of-the-art technology. And everywhere today, Mr Speaker, that many people go, there are CCTV cameras all around the place. So we are mindful of privacy, but we also know that there needs to be a balance. That has to be balanced with identity fraud. And here are some of the facts in New Zealand about identity fraud, which I found fascinating, Mr Speaker, when having a look at this issue. The average amount of money lost due to fraud in New Zealand in 2009 was 1.5 million. The top 4 types of fraud reported are: 1, false invoicing, very prevalent; theft,
2 minutes.
Bribery and corruption, and, of course, lending fraud. Mr Chairman, 90% of those responsible for managing the risk of fraud don't hold any formal fraud management or investigation qualifications. 42% of New Zealand businesses were affected by identity fraud during the year. And New Zealand police have identified 900 cases of identity fraud in New Zealand last year. But they believe, Mr Speaker, that it's only a fraction of the real issue and the number of cases that actually occur. And in a high-profile case of identity fraud, New Zealand fraudster Wayne Thomas Patterson was sentenced to 8 years in prison after being convicted over using 123 different identities. And he stole $3.4 million in benefits, Mr Speaker, in 2007. So, Mr Speaker, let me conclude by saying that we support this to a select committee, this bill, but we are ever mindful of privacy concerns, and we will be paying very close attention to the views, to the recommendations of the Privacy Commissioner. We, Mr Simon Power, are members of the opposition. We are concerned about the issues of privacy on this side of the House, even if the member on the government benches might not be. We are, Mr Speaker, and we're going to take notice of any recommendations, and they will be taken seriously that the Privacy Commissioner puts forward during the Select Committee process. And what we have to say, Mr Speaker, is it's obvious that the Honourable Simon Power doesn't care about privacy. Te hei moriora.
I call Keith Locke.